One of the things that's important to every seller out there is obviously getting as much money as possible when they sell their home. So for most sellers in the Bay Area, their home, their Bay Area home, is the single most valuable asset that they own, the single most valuable asset to their name. And this is particularly after we have, we're coming off about a decade of some of the most historical price appreciation ever. So naturally, selling their Bay Area home is often the single most important transaction, the most important business transaction of their lives. With that in mind, when it comes to listing a property, we focus on ROI every step of the way. What will help the seller net the most that the market will bear? And in so doing, we've perfected a market-proven process to sell a home for up to 18% more than the neighborhood average. Now, I remember back to the training when I was first exposed to that claim, and honestly, I was a little skeptical, so I pushed back a little bit and said, okay, is it really possible to sell a home for that much more than what average agents are doing? Fortunately, shortly after this training, Ryan and I had the opportunity to work with a fellow veteran, actually someone from one of Ryan's prior military units. And because of that trust, because of their shared experience, this individual really just gave us carte blanche to implement each and every one of the concepts that we learned. And lo and behold, that home, which was in Pleasanton, it ended up selling for $1.65 million. And this is at a time when comparable homes with comparable square footage in the surrounding neighborhood were going for $1.4 million. So that's just about 18% ahead of the pack. Since that time, when it makes sense for the home, when it makes sense for the seller, we followed this same process over and over and continue to see results. So this process is basically, it's just a collection of hacks, each one of which unlocks a little extra ROI. But the process, believe it or not, it actually doesn't start with the home itself, it starts with the homeowner. Specifically, it starts with their taxes. No surprise, here in California, we have one of the highest, if not the highest, tax burdens in the country. When you combine federal and state capital gains taxes, and then when you add Obamacare taxes on top of that, you're pushing a nearly 40% tax burden. The first thing we like to do is explore ways for the homeowner, not the government, to see a lot more ROI. So whether we're talking about deferment of taxes or outright elimination of taxes, please understand there are viable options out there to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we've built some amazing relationships with some of the most well-respected tax attorneys and CPAs in the country that can help almost anybody do this. The thing to keep in mind, the reason why this is upfront at the process, is the IRS requires we really get our ducks in a row before the home is sold. And oftentimes, depending on which specific tax mitigation strategy is pursued, sometimes we have to get our ducks in a row before the home even hits the market. So it really makes sense to do this up front. Now, moving on to the home itself, the next steps of the process really focus on preparation of the home for the market. The breadth of what we can do, although we don't often need to do all of this, is quite a bit different, quite a bit more expansive than your average agent here in the Bay. Now, moving on to the home itself, the next steps of the process really focus on preparation of the home, preparation of the property to maximize what the market can bear. The breadth of what we can do, although we don't often need to do this full breadth, is quite a bit different, quite a bit more comprehensive than what your average agent is going to take on. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot of trusted and vetted vendors who can provide construction, landscaping, repairs of any type, moving walls if necessary, opening walls, pretty much any level of remodel from very basic to very comprehensive. And why do we keep those folks on retainer? Why do we have those folks on standby? Well, every single day we are working with very hungry home buyers, people who are approved, oftentimes cash buyers, people who are trying to get into a home. So we understand very deeply what they're looking for. We understand what appeals to them on both a logical and on an emotional level. And we know that if we prepare the home to hit the wickets, to hit the things they're looking for, we're going to attract more home buyers, which should lead to more offers, which means more competition, which ultimately means more money, more ROI. Now, we're not just talking about the things you see, kitchens, bathrooms, things that might stop a buyer in their tracks and make them say, wow. We're talking about things under the hood as well, things that might give a buyer hesitancy, whether these things are serious or a buyer who doesn't know better might just perceive them as serious. We want to know up front what these things are and have the opportunity to address them if it will ultimately improve our ROI. Now, inspections have been around for a while, and so too have home warranties, but combining the two up front, that's something we took from the auto industry. So years back, Toyota rebranded their used car division as Toyota Certified Pre-Owned. And they did this because they recognized that if they put a little extra work in up front, if they did a 6 or 7 point inspection and they put a warranty on the car, this might cost them, extra $500 or so, but those certified pre-owned cars would regularly sell for $2,000 more. The exact same principle applies for homes. If you're buying a home, you want to know that professionals have looked under the hood, and you want to know that if something goes wrong, you've got a warranty that you can lean on. Outside of the major fixer-uppers that we occasionally list and market to contractors and investors, this is something we do very early in the selling process on nearly every home we sell. In addition to the inspections, in addition to the home warranty, we like to also add on an additional 18-point inspection, which carries with it a certified pre-owned guarantee. Doing all these 3 steps together, it really gives the buyer of the home peace of mind. And that peace of mind, that allows them to stretch their budget, and there's genuine value in that. In fact, typically we've seen about 3% better ROI. Outside of the fixer-upper homes we market to contractors and investors, this is something we do early in the selling process. And on top of this, on top of the inspections, which are typically a home inspection, a roof inspection, and a wood and pest inspection, we also like to do an additional 18-point inspection, because that inspection carries with it a certified pre-owned badge and guarantee. Doing these 3 things together, the inspections, the 18-point, and mating those with a home warranty, this is what really gives the buyer peace of mind. And that peace of mind, that's what allows them to stretch their budget. And there's genuine value in that. In fact, we've consistently found it's about 3% better ROI in the end. Then there's the improvements that make an emotional impact. We analyze the home to identify the areas where we can make strategic upgrades. Typically, we're looking for areas where we can get at least 2 times ROI, where we can get 2 times the money that we put in. Where can we put money in this house to get a strong return? And ideally, where can we put money in this house to get a strong return in a short amount of time? Next, we do professional staging. So staged homes are selling for anywhere from 2 to 4% more money than unstaged homes. There's a litany of reasons for this, and there's a litany of data that backs this up. What we've found is that 95% of staged homes in any market, the hottest markets, even slower markets, those homes receive an offer within the first 14 days. So it's something we always like to prioritize. It's something we always like to do because, again, it equates to more ROI. Once the home is prepared, it's time to then focus on presentation, on the things that we're going to do to just saturate the market. So the first thing we do is we deep clean each and every home. And once we've done that, well, then it's time for photography. And we're talking HDR photos, photos during the day, during the twilight, during the magic hour, and in cases where there's really something worth showcasing, like we're talking a home that's near a park or a home that's near, the Apple Infinity Loop campus, there's anything to put the home in perspective of what's around it, then we also like to do drone photos. And then there's some really great technologies that we use that enable the buyer to have, basically a virtual walkthrough of the home, much as Google Street View enables them to have a virtual walkthrough of the neighborhood that the home is in. So really, before they even set foot on the property, we want them to start experiencing the home, not simply passively viewing a few photos. We want them to experience the home and start just virtually walking through it as if it was their own. In addition, we'd love to use video. So 60% of consumers, folks who are buying on the internet, they're looking at video of the things they ultimately buy on their phone. Why wouldn't we want to have video for them to look at on what will ultimately be the most expensive purchase of most of their lives? The ability to capture the home on video, it's the next best thing in really getting someone inside of the home before they get inside the home. So once the home is prepared and we've presented it in video and every possible photo format, the next piece is that we price the home. And Believe me, pricing it's as much an art as it is a science. We do a pre-appraisal on every property that we sell because when we're hiring an appraiser, we can actually give guidance to that individual. We can, ask them to give us their most generous professional estimate of value of the home. And again, this is an estimate that's going to account for all of the improvements, both those improvements under the hood, which we're there to let him know exactly what we did in the foundation, the plumbing, the electrical, and also those improvements on the surface. We're going to let him, this valuation is going to account for all the things that we've just done on the home. Buyers in our marketplace, they're going to trust an appraiser. When it comes to value of the property, they're going to trust an appraiser more than they're going to trust their own realtor. And we found that having that appraisal, having that up our sleeve, having it in our marketing package, it really began to have a magnetic effect with buyers. Just like having those inspections and that certified pre-owned guarantee, having those things up front, having a third-party appraiser with a valid appraisal, having that in hand. When a buyer is writing an offer, we've been able to get as much as 6% more on the sale price of the property, which again means better ROI in the end. Now, these are just some of the bases that we cover in this process, but when you put it all together, it equates to a better experience for the home seller, and ultimately it equates to better return on their investment, which our client reviews back this up. We have an amazing group of people that we work with, from the staging, from the contractors, from the landscapers, the photographers, the videographers. All of these people are absolutely instrumental in delivering these results, and we'd love for you to have the opportunity to meet them.